It's the boy, Bubba, let's coming through. Hella clutch, flawless, can't be touched. It's your boy, Bubba, let's. Yeah, I need that hot take. I need the truth and everything that is not fake. So tell me who's the goal.
Bubba Bunch. There's no real way to explain this. No real way to describe it. What you're gonna say, if you know, you know. Do you ever put on a shirt and wonder, what the hell happened? You thought it was gonna be loose. You thought it was gonna be too big. And then you put it on and you look at yourself and you're like, nah, this ain't it. I wore the Mexico shirt earlier in the week. I didn't want to wear it again. So I just grabbed a random shirt in my closet. And you know what? I don't wear much WWE shirts often on the podcast. And I have so many. And I've only worn this one probably about 2 or 3 times. And I've probably had it for a year. And I remember it fitting pretty big. Can't say that anymore. Oh, it's a rough day already. This has been a long day. It's a late night recording, and it'll come out the day after. So this will come out on Saturday morning. But yeah, guys, come on. Let's just move on, right? Because this is just getting pretty sad. Well, thank you for joining us on the Cowboys versus Seahawks preview for this Sunday. Episode 168 of the Bubba Let Sports podcast. Going strong, continuing the grind, a year in, and it's only gonna get better. So thank you for supporting this entire time. Follow, subscribe to the membership where you can donate to the podcast for $1, $5, $10 a month so I can actually make some money off of this and not work anymore. That'd be great. But until then, I'm going to cry myself to sleep. Nevertheless, this is the Seahawks versus Cowboys preview, and I'll be up front with you. We're not going to make this an hour long. Kevin couldn't make it. But there is one way that the Cowboys can win this football game. One way. And I'm not just saying that because they need to score more points than the Seahawks. Of course they do. That's how you win football games in the NFL. But they need to score a lot of points on Sunday afternoon in Seattle. Before I give my prediction, before I give my expectations on this game, let's look at the injury report from the Seahawks, from the Cowboys, and see where we go. Because there have been some banged up teams in the NFL, and the Cowboys are one of them. Let's start off with the Seahawks, though. So the only player that is out for the Seahawks in this game is going to be Rasheem Green, defensive end, with a neck injury that he aggravated before the season, so he's been on IR ever since. The questionable players is what's to look for in this game. Defensive end Benson Mayowa, with a groin injury, limited participant on Friday. Cornerback Quinton Dunbar with a knee injury did not participate on Friday. It is said that Pete Carroll, thinking that those guys are good to go, alongside cornerback Nico Thorpe with a hip injury, and tackle Cedric Abuhi with a pectoral injury, limited participant. But it looks good for Pete Carroll and company, especially with Cedric, especially with Benson. These guys are very important for the depth on this team, and at those positions, that's going to be key for them. Pass rush and going to be offensive line protecting Russell Wilson. And if they can protect Russell Wilson, it's going to be a long day for the Cowboys defense. So speaking of the Cowboys defense, the reason why I'm saying that is because cornerback Chidobe Awuzie with a hamstring injury is going to be out for this game. We've already had injuries with Chidobe Awuzie, with Anthony Brown, with Jordan Lewis. Trevon Diggs was questionable early on in the week, but he looks to be ready to go for Sunday. But that is tough. You also got Sean Lee, Lane Van Der Esch. You got, in this game, DeMarcus Lawrence, who is questionable with a knee injury, and that is probably going to be a game-time decision for Mike McCarthy, alongside tackle Tyron Smith with the neck injury that was aggravated a few weeks ago. That's why he didn't start against the Falcons. So think about the secondary and the issues that they've had there. Questions up in the air of, who's really, other than Trevon Diggs, a positive on this defensive back. And when think of the numbers, like apparently Xavier Woods is amongst one of the top safeties as far as his efficiency on the field. And that's kind of surprising to me because I feel like that's where a lot of the Cowboys' defensive struggles have come from, is the lack of awareness and lack of communication in the backfield. And then you think about all the injuries that have occurred at the linebacker position. So it's up to Jalen Smith and now Joe Thomas, who played pretty well last Sunday against the Falcons. But that defensive front is what's going to be very important in this game, because the lack of pass rush, the lack of presence and real kind of just presence. I mean, 2 sacks through 2 games when you have guys that have made it to multiple Pro Bowls and being all pro players, and they're only getting 2 sacks in 2 games. I know it was a rough start to begin the season last year, and when Robert Quinn came into the equation, that's when the Cowboys pass rush was on top of its game. But other than Randy Gregory, which isn't going to happen for another month or so, there's nothing to really show up for this Cowboys defense, especially in that defensive front, other than working out a scheme, working out a game plan that is not just a predictable defense. You got to blitz. And I want Mike Nolan, I want Jim Tomsula to bring the blitz this weekend, because they got to do a tremendous job of containing Russell Wilson. And I think the only player that can really contain on a QB spy on this team is going to be Jalen Smith, who has looked slow, that has looked just out of it, lost on defense, even though he's doing the play calling. I'm not a big fan of how he's played so far. This is a good week for him to come back and bounce back, especially against Russell Wilson, who is the early MVP candidate. But with those injuries, Chidobe Awuzie, who is their second best corner by a large margin between Trevon Diggs and Chidobe Awuzie, and then your next man up is going to be Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown. That's not a good spot that you want to be in. Having Tyron Smith out, then you have Brandon Knight on the left tackle position, who did play well last weekend. I think he is a up-and-comer on that offensive line, and he can do his part, much like that Joe Looney has done. And Terrence Steele, he feels like he's done very well so far. I wish he could be better, but out of an undrafted free agent rookie, you can only ask for so much. And I hope that in these few weeks he's learned a lot, and against a defensive front with the Seahawks that may not be the greatest since Jadeveon Clowney has left and Mayowa is their best pass rusher, maybe they can really protect the quarterback, because I think it's the real worry about the linebackers that might struggle on that offensive line. So not having DeMarcus Lawrence, that's going to be tough. Let's see who they bring in. Maybe more of maybe bringing Tyron Crawford a little bit more. Tristan Hill played well, so maybe if you put Don Terry Poe, Tristan Hill, Everson Griffin, and Tyron Crawford on that defensive line, they can get away with that and be just fine. Everson Griffin finally getting it going last week with his first sack of the year. But it's going to be a loss for sure. I'm a big advocate of DeMarcus Lawrence, not just because he brings the pass rush, but the attention that he brings to that offensive line where he needs to be double-teamed. It makes it a lot easier for those other guys on that defensive line to get free and find the gap, find the pass rush opening, and get to the quarterback. But those are huge injuries for the Dallas Cowboys. So with that in mind, let's talk about what are the keys for both sides. And like I said at the beginning, this is going to be a high-scoring football game if the Cowboys want any chance of winning it. Russell Wilson is having a field day with any defense right now. He's feeling it. He is the best deep thrower in the NFL. Dak Prescott is one of the best deep throwers in the NFL as well. But when you look at the contrast of these offenses, the Seahawks like to take chances down the field because they have the weapons for it. You got a speedy guy in Tyler Lockett. You got DK Metcalf, or how I like to call it, Decaf Metcalf, who is physical and will have a really good day against smaller, against weaker secondary defensive backs who cannot contain a guy of that size. Julio Jones did not have a good day last week, but I feel like DK is so physical that if he matches up against Trevon Diggs or Anthony Brown, I'm saying if you have Anthony Brown alongside DK Metcalf, I'm going to DK every single time. And then if you're looking at Tyler Lockett, whether you have the good matchup or the bad matchup, you have seen that these wide receivers and Russell Wilson have had success against even some of the best. Stephon Gilmore last week gave up so many yards and a touchdown. His QBR rating, or Russell Wilson's QBR rating, against Stephon Gilmore last week was well over 100. And that's the defensive player of the year. That's the reigning defensive player of the year. So I like Trevon Diggs, but he's still a rookie. Anthony Brown is definitely not one of the best cornerbacks on this team. Darryl Worley will have to step up. Jordan Lewis will have to step up. But I don't think they can contain all of these weapons because you got David Moore as well. They struggle already with tight ends, so Greg Olsen will also be a big factor. And when you think about how the Cowboys have struggled for so many years, and it's still showing this year, is they can't stop the run. They can't stop a collection of running backs. So if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, not only am I using Chris Carson, who is physical, powerful, but is agile, and if he gets through that first wall of the defense, he's going to have some open field. But Carlos Hyde as well, who's another powerful back. They can use this tandem, and I feel like it's going to be a struggle for this defense to really contain them down the middle. So you take that in consideration with Russell Wilson's running ability, his deep throwing ability. They're going to take chances down the field. This Seahawks offense is going to put up a lot of yards and a lot of points. So how do you counteract that if you're the Cowboys? Mike McCarthy has come out and said, we're not going to focus on time of possession here. We're going to focus on getting down the field and scoring points, which I think is the best thing for this Cowboys offense. Look, your offense has been so predicated on the offensive line and containing that ball for as long as you can so that way you can keep the other offense out of or off the field, because your defense, you don't have a lot of trust in them right now. You don't have a lot of confidence in them. So what you got to focus on is maybe the defense can stop them once or twice. Maybe. But based on what we saw last week against the Falcons, Russell Wilson will start off hot. The Seahawks offense will start off putting up a lot of points on the board, and this is where the Cowboys struggle every single time. We saw it so many times last year, and we saw it last week. They get down early, and it has to be up to Dak Prescott on that offense to get down the field immediately and score points, do it all over again, and hope that this defense contains the ball. And that is a hard thing to do against elite teams. And the Seahawks look pretty damn good this year. Think about the games last year against the Saints, against the Packers, where they got down so bad early, down 20, 25 points. Last week against the Falcons, down 20 points early. You're lucky that you got back into that football game, and you're lucky that the chips fell where they did late in that football game. I will continue to say this: the Falcons lost, the Cowboys did not win. Falcons lost that football game. Cowboys did not win that football game. No matter what you say, Falcons should have won that football game. A team like the Seattle Seahawks isn't going to allow that to happen, to where they continuously give you chances to get back into this football game. See how they played against the New England Patriots, who are well coached, have a great defense? Well, guess what? Russell Wilson did pretty damn good against the number one defense last year. And you think that he's going to not do well against a below average Cowboys defense that is banged up and has a lot of misdirection, a lot of miscommunication through its players? I'm saying, man, you if you're the Cowboys, you need to score a lot of points. And I think this can open up the playbook so well for Kellen Moore and really open to the idea that maybe we should just stick to this, no matter who is our offensive line. Let's say if Tyron Smith comes back, Lyle Collins comes back after this week, and the offensive line looks better than ever. Maybe you go for Connor Williams and you stick with him other than Brandon Knight or Connor McGovern. But you have the offensive line that you've wanted all year long. Yet I'm still thinking, the idea and the game plan of sticking to your offensive line and time of possession and continuously running the ball on first down, it's just not it anymore. When has it ever worked in your favor that has gotten you far into the playoffs? Look at all the other teams around this league, not only just the Seahawks, who like to take chances down the field and just worry about one game plan. If that doesn't work, then they're screwed. Think about the Packers this year. They've scored over 40 in multiple weeks, not just to the running backs credit in Aaron Jones, but they're using the wide receivers very well. And then you look at, hell, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. You're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the ability to score 40 plus because they use different dynamics in their offense. It's not just one game plan. They are going to use the running game in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, and that will always work. But what makes it that much more dangerous is that Mark Andrews is hitting a corner route 15 yards out, and he's wide open. Think about, let's say, even the Rams offense, who looked really good against the Eagles last week. They're using Tyler Higbee so well, but it's not just the running backs. Cam Akers went out in that game, yet they used their committee, and they are so up-tempo that it's so hard for a defense, no matter who you are, to keep up with that. And this up-tempo is not just a 2-minute drill thing that the Cowboys can use. This should be their offense. You know how much better your offensive line can be, and that actual run first on first down type of game plan could work better if you are doing an up-tempo. Yeah, you're running inside zone multiple times in a drive, but because the defense is so tired, because they can't keep up, that's better for Zeke, that's better for that offensive line. If you get so used to that, Dak Prescott can be so easily successful in this offense if you allow him to make the decision quickly. Put him in that situation where he needs to make those plays immediately. Or, since there is no noise, it allows Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy to get those plays to Dak Prescott faster. But that opens up for Zeke to have bigger runs. It opens up the idea of taking chances down the field. And the unpredictability is there now that you're using CeeDee Lamb a lot more in this offense, and you are incorporating these tight ends. It's really nice to see a Blake Jarwin system on those tight ends. You're still running the same plays with Blake Bell and Dalton Schultz that you would with Blake Jarwin, but just because you have opened up and spread the field so much better with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper, that those guys don't have to take as much stress. And, of course, Ezekiel Elliott's going to be so much more positive and so much more incorporated into this offense now that you have that ability. But if you want to keep this defense on its toes, if you want to keep Jamal Adams on his toes, you want to keep KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner on their toes, I think the only way possible to do that is to run an up-tempo offense. And it's been proving dividends in these last 2 weeks. We've seen the 2-minute drills right before the half, and these down 10, down 20 points, and they have to score quick. Think of how easy it's been for the Cowboys to do that. So now that Mike McCarthy's up for the idea and up for the challenge in that he's going to score a lot of points just to stay in this game, he doesn't have a lot of confidence in that defense. I think you can see the best version of this Cowboys offense show up on Sunday afternoon in Seattle, because now they're using their weapons efficiently. They're using everything that they can. They're not just limiting to Amari Cooper going for an out route for 5 yards. They're not just limiting Ezekiel Elliott to another power run down the middle. It is now misdirections, quick screens, go, 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 go before this defense can even think and get set. This is perfect for how weaponized this offense is. And I like the Cowboys offense. I feel confident in this Cowboys offense. But it's the defense that's going to cost them this game. And ultimately, with how much better Russell Wilson is playing, and I know that's far-fetched to think of out of a great career for him, but he's being flashy now. He's just balling out. They have a solid running game that the Cowboys always struggle with. their offensive line to me looks better than in past years. I know the stats don't really prove it, but I'm seeing Russell Wilson get more time to throw in the pocket. And of course he's going to be able to run outside and to find the opening and get the first down with his feet. But some of those chances he took last week where he had plenty of time to throw and he allowed DK Metcalf to develop the route against Stephon Gilmore of all people, that's a good sign for the longevity of the Seahawks team, who can go into the playoffs, deep into these playoffs. And I'll be an advocate of not believing in the Seahawks team for so many years, but I've been waiting for a team like this to where they protect Russell Wilson as much as possible, and they have the weapons collectively to do so. Chris Carson, if he can stay healthy, Carlos Hyde, if he can stay healthy, and that defense. Giving up 2 first-round draft picks for Jamal Adams is working out so far, and of course, the injuries to Quinton Dunbar, Quandre Diggs did get hurt, and Nico Thorpe as well as banged up for this game. You wonder if the Cowboys can take advantage of that as well, because both sides are pretty rough on the defensive backs right now. But I think that the Seahawks have the advantage in the defense because it limits to what Dak Prescott can do over the top with Jamal Adams, and what we saw last week with Jamal Adams blitzing a lot from the middle, and this defense is so prepared for a blitz, for pressure, that with this banged up offensive line for the Cowboys, this is where Jamal Adams can definitely do some work from anywhere on the field. And you can even think about it like this, like Jamal Adams wanted to play for Dallas, and the Cowboys just did not want to pay that much and didn't want to invest that much in Jamal Adams. Maybe Adams wants to prove something against this Dallas Cowboys team who never decided to go after him. And he's going to make them suffer for not getting that extra safety and only sticking with Xavier Woods, only sticking with Darian Thompson, who may not be it. This can be that Jamal Adams game where he just says, you should have gotten me. You should have came after me and given me that deal. But overall, man, I think this is going to be a shootout, and I'm excited for it. My expectations are that Chris Carson is going to have a really solid day out of the backfield, whether it's running or passing. Russell Wilson, he'll find openings in this Cowboys secondary, and he will also find a lot of first downs, like whether it's a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, 3rd and shorts, where the Cowboys have really struggled in this year. He's going to find that with his feet if he doesn't develop anything down the field. Because I'm sorry, but I've not been impressed by Jalen Smith so far. I have seen him lack and be, in a sense, very laggy, if that's even the correct term for it, or his awareness isn't precise. He's not immediate on those quick decisions like he used to be. I think he's got a lot on his plate with the play calling that did not go so well last week. I mean, he feels comfortable calling plays and they gave up 39 points. I'm not excited about that. And if he wants to be the guy who is the only guy athletically that can stop Russell Wilson from getting on the outside and keeping him in that pocket, I don't think he's fast enough anymore. I don't feel like he's agile enough to make that quick decision and get to Russell Wilson in time. And really, I wonder what Joe Thomas is going to do in this defense, whether he's going to be that QB spy or he's going to blitz a lot, which he did have success in the first 2 weeks. I think he's the one to look after, and if he has a good game, then maybe this Cowboys defense can succeed. Aldon Smith has been the only other guy on that defense alongside Joe Thomas and Trevon Diggs that I feel like has a lot of potential to prove. And if Aldon Smith can incorporate himself into containing Russell Wilson, then I'd like to see that a lot. I'd like to see that on Sunday. But I feel like Russell Wilson's going to find the openings. He's going to find the open receivers down the field, take a lot of chances down the field against a depleted Cowboys secondary. They're going to find the big plays with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And once they set that up, they will do that early. Chris Carson is going to develop that running game, set up the play action, and then it's bad news bears for the Cowboys late in that game. And I do believe in this Seahawks defense to not contain to a certain amount of points, but they will get the stops that they need late in this game in critical situations in order for the Seahawks to win this football game. So I expect another great game out of Russell Wilson. I expect another great game out of Chris Carson. A huge day for DK Metcalf. And this defense, yeah, they'll give up a lot of points, but I think in the late game they will show up. Especially, I expect a big play out of Jamal Adams late in this game. I'm saying Seahawks 42, yeah, 42-43. Cowboys 35. Is going to be, I want to take the over in this game. It's going to be a shootout. It may be ugly on the defensive side, but it'll be worse for the Cowboys for sure. So I think I have the Seahawks winning. I have been 0-2 so far in this season. I thought they should have beaten the Rams. I thought they should have lost to the Falcons. In my mind, they are 0-2 because they should not have won that game, but 1-1's fine. Let's be optimistic for a second. Say the Cowboys win this football game. It is only because they win that shootout. I mean, this has got to be what it was against the Denver Broncos so many years ago against Peyton Manning and Tony Romo. And the Cowboys still fell short in that game, but I expect the same type of vibe where it's just drive after drive. These offenses continue to strive and get better. It's going to be a good fantasy day for both of these teams. And that'll be the only way is if Dak Prescott can score more points, go through the air, have another 400-plus yard day. If Ezekiel Elliott can have another 150-yard day. And all of those receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Mark Cooper, having over 100 yards each, I'd say that's the only way I see this football team winning. Do I expect any belief that this defense on the Cowboys can stop this Seahawks team to under 30 points? Absolutely not. There's no way this defense can stop them to under 30 points. That is a done deal. Take that to the bank. So unfortunately, as much as I want to believe in this Cowboys team that they can build a defense, finally, I just don't believe in them. I really don't. I know that Bruce Irving being out on IR with a torn ACL is tough for this defense. Rasheem Green as well. Benson being questionable. Quinton Dunbar being questionable. And that could really do well for this Cowboys offense. But they still got KJ Wright. They still got Bobby Wagner, who are the leaders of that defense. And you can't get rid of Jamal Adams. You really can't. So I think that'll do it. That's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hit me up on Twitter what you guys think. It's going to be a rough Sunday afternoon. I don't think it can get much worse as it did against the Falcons because that was an emotional roller coaster for me. But I'll be ready for this game. I'm expecting a high-scoring game, so I'm not going to bite my fingernails on a close game at all with 20, 30 points on the board. It's gonna be a rough day for defenses. So yeah, Seahawks win. High-scoring game, so the Cowboys offense will continue to look good, but that defense is going to cost them games. Yeah, so that'll do it for this episode of the Bubblehead Sports Podcast. We'll come back. We'll probably come back probably Sunday night, Monday morning with a special guest, and then we'll also do the review of this game, and then we'll continue to do the weekly schedule of winners and losers. Once I get the new setup with the new monitor, I want to do more film study, and so that'll come out probably next week. And then, man, we'll just keep it rolling. We're getting super close to NBA Finals, and these series on the Western and Eastern Conference are getting really good. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll try to get someone on there for the NBA talk. But man, like we're striving. We're looking really good, and this is my happy place. This is my happy place. So I'm gonna continue to do it because I love it so much, and I love you guys so much for tuning in, for listening, and for watching. Make sure to share the podcast. We're getting so close to 100 subscribers, and we're getting well over 900 listeners or listens on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if we can reach 1,000 and reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year, I can't be more happy with that. So share it with friends and family. I hope that you enjoy it. If you have any criticism, if you have any ideas or advice that we can do better on this podcast, let me know. I want to continue to strive to be better, and I know that you guys have my best interests at heart. So thank you again. I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of the Bubba Bunch. This has been episode 168, and we'll see you next time on the Bubba Let's Sports podcast.
Yeah, hold on. Tell me who's your top 5 quarterbacks right now, dead or alive, huh? And how much do you care about a ring if the best player got carried by the team? Now, would you lose if it been a better draft pick? And do you cuss when your team get their ass kicked? Now, do you keep it classy or you keep it ratchet?